Hello there and welcome back to Midlife Rises. My name is Cheryl. To make some adjustments here, like I said in the other video, I need to stop with these pieces. This is one of my favorite from Israel, but I need to stop with these neckbands because it is tearing up the skin around my neck. We just had the Christmas holiday. I hope that you had a wonderful Christmas. This is my most favorite time of the year. Unfortunately, I had the flu that kind of hindered me a little, but yeah, birthday and everything went by. We are now hitting 63. I can tell you that comfortably because this is what the channel is all about. Being able to, to just be comfortable in your skin. I'm in a good place right now. I feel good within myself. I have grown sons and like 4 grandkids. I'm comfortable to say where I am at this point. I'm not where I fully want to be, but I'm good. I'm good. So Happy New Year. We are in 2024 now. I haven't done anything new for a while, but I would like to just kind of cover things that I missed. We went through the Thanksgiving season, which I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We should be giving thanks every day. But in the US, we have that holiday that we enjoy just before Christmas. I was able to go out of town because I have a new granddaughter. I am just like really excited with my grandkids. It's absolutely amazing. But yeah, I made a little run to Miami and it was really, really nice. The weather was good. We were able to get out on the beach, and it wasn't planned for the whole family to be down there, but it was nice. It was very nice, actually. I'll give you a few clips from the time that we had, but it was refreshing. So we went through the whole Christmas holiday, as I mentioned, and that went by pretty well. I hope that you had a good Christmas with your family and that you made a really good transition into 2024. 2023 was interesting, but a lot was accomplished. So today I'd like to talk about spirituality. I did say that I don't want to ever talk religion. So I'm going to touch base with spirituality. We all have our different beliefs, but it's very, super important to have certain principles, to understand what rock you should be standing on. Because a lot of us, we build, especially women, we build our foundation on sand. And when you do that, we both know that sand is not sturdy. And so I'm touching base with spirituality and beliefs, because a lot of people will say, I don't believe in God, and I'm not here to tell anyone what they should do. But what I will tell you is that it is not an accident that we're here. And a lot of people that talk about not believing in God and so on, I can guarantee you, when something happens, something really bad, the first set of words out of their mouth is, oh my God. So it's interesting. And I want to cover this because we are in a new year, and I want to make sure that you do know that there are certain principles that we need to live by. And when you don't believe, when you're not a believer, okay, when you, in your mind, is telling yourself that you control things, that is so very dangerous. Because the minute you start believing that everything is within your control, that is where you'll get picked up by the other forces, and then God will be right there to let you know who's in charge. Because as we understand it, He's omnipresent, He's everywhere. Everything that I talk about, it goes from my own experiences. And I can tell you that, for one, trials and tribulations is something that we all get. And we get it as testers because a good percentage of us are more interested in being on the highway. And when I say that, I mean to have everything like really available. And if you're not interested in fighting for what you get, really doing the work, and I've said this several times, but I haven't really broken it down. So in life, we have the highway where everything is sorted out in your mind, where you'll get it as easy as possible. And then the other part of it is to be on the narrow road, which is where, for some reason, that's where I've always been. Not that I like things hard, but on the narrow road, you have to work for what you get. You have to build on your experiences. You are learning because life is a learning process. From childhood to adolescent years to early adulthood, we are having experiences. And a lot of times, they're not positive. It's the same thing I'm saying over and over. But I'm trying to break it down in a different way because when you go through trials and tribulations, when things are really like happening to you, if you pay attention, there's always a gift. There's always a breakthrough. And I think that that is God. Because from my own experiences, when I have like a bad experience, once I get past that, there's always a blessing after it. So a lot of times when things are not working out, I think that you should be in that mode where it's like surrender it to God and just wait to see what's going to happen after that. The other part to this thing is you have to live by certain principles. You got to watch how you treat others. And the simple rule to this is treat others the way you would like to be treated. And I've said this in past episodes because it's important. It's important to be conscious of the way in which you treat another person. Treat everyone with respect. And that's the rule of thumb. It shouldn't be, well, this one, I will show more respect because of their status. It shouldn't be like that. It's very dangerous, actually, because you don't know who you're dealing with a lot of times. You're seeing the person, but you don't really know who you're dealing with or what kind of background they're from. You just have to be conscious of that. You know, just doing the right thing, especially when no one is looking. We're talking now on morals, integrity, humility, these kinds of things. Understanding faith and respecting God, the universe, is key. Because if you're not able to do that, then you're basically moving around, you know, just doing whatever. Not worrying about the consequences, not thinking of the fact that one day you will have to be accountable, because these things do add up. And when it comes back around, it's not pleasant. It's called karma. I try to do the right thing. For the most part, I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that I am, but for the most part, I'm conscious of the things that I do. I'm conscious of the way I come across to others. I try to be conscious of the way I treat other people. Because of that, I'm always at peace. I live a very harmonious life. And I believe that is because I've been walking in a straight line. We're not conscious. We don't think that we need to be. In one of my episodes, I was talking about the body snatchers. And I'm going to go on that topic now because we switch up after going through the different modes of things that have happened to us, the experiences that we've had. and not being able to cope. Some of us just shut down. I don't know if we're not praying, but coming back to what I'm talking about today on respecting the fact that someone is watching, ill-treating a child, a disabled person, an elderly. I believe an animal also is falling in that groove. You have to be very careful. I'm touching base with this because I have known some people all my life. And today, I can't tell you that it's the same set of people. What exactly happens there? Off the top of my head, I can tell you that God is not there. Because God is love. It all comes with light. And the light, it's expressed, and I think I did this in the last episode, it is expressed by joy, peace, gratitude, gratefulness. You know, you just have that fruit of the Spirit. When we get to adulthood, something happens. A lot of us break. And we break because we do not know God. I'm going to leave Jesus out of the equation. We're just going to say God. I mean, in Christianity, you are not really accepting God if you don't know Jesus, but we're not going to go there. We're just going to focus on the fact that there is someone higher than us that we need to acknowledge. When we get to midlife years, we are coming with all of the imprints from our childhood, our adolescent years. And a good bit of us have had traumas. We're not going to go into what kind, but the traumas, it has caused us to take different routes. And if we are not understanding of God and that God is love, anger, bitterness, and all of the negative emotions will take place. And then we become inhuman, where we're not feeling. We're like robots now. That also was in the last episode, and I'm covering this again. I'm going to try not to be too boring with this stuff because that's not what the channel is about. But we've got to have that grounding before we can spring up. And I can comfortably say that because I just told you, like, I just turned 63. I'm not just calling a number. I have made uses with this thing. I've done a good bit of traveling. I intend to do more, God's willing. And I have been through a good bit, and I have learned from it. And I am still learning my integrity, humility, and my character. All of that is in place, regardless of what I've been through. There are no real addictions. I carry myself with respect. And this was from, since I've known myself. As a young woman, I've always had principles. And so I've never been one to throw my body around. I was very conscious of that. I was out there, but I've never been on the wild side like that. And for a reason, because your temple is very precious. And the older I get, I am just grateful for the way I did my work. I've always been interested in learning from my experiences. If something happens to me once, I embrace it. I embrace it and I learn from it. That's how we build wisdom. That is why I can sit here comfortably and tell you, well, I have 4 grandkids and I'm 63, and you know, I'm happy within myself. I'm comfortable in my skin, because at this stage in my life, I am still growing, but I know who I am. I know what I stand for. And I'm not looking for anyone to validate me, to define me. I know exactly who I am. And I'm very happy. It's important to be able to say that you are happy and be able to understand why you're happy. 2 years ago, back to back, I lost my parents. And I was very close to those two people, mainly my mom. She was a little terror, but that was my heart. And I've had to make adjustments to that. It has not been easy. I'm still dealing with it. But because I am on the rock that I am on, I'm able to adjust to whatever life throws. I'm not saying that I'm not challenged, but I'm able to bounce back because I know and respect the name Jesus Christ and God. And it's important in this new season that we know these names, we understand the faith, respect and understand who God is. Because when you have that foundation, when the darkness comes, you have that light that you can follow. That is so very important because we are hit with so many different things as we grow into our midlife years and work towards our golden years. A lot happens. And if you want to not be a shell and be controlled, then that is the route to take. And the narrow road is where the glory is. If you are looking to ignore the inner battles by drowning it with substances and looking to be a parasite, remember, someone is watching. You are never not being seen. And the way you choose to live your life, you have to be willing to deal with the consequences, because that time will come where you will be held accountable. And I'm not making this stuff up. This is the way it is, and I'm telling you what I know. We've got to be careful. It did say that you reap what you sow, and I've seen it. My dad was a very powerful man. I wasn't raised with him, but I was going back and forth. He used to visit and stay at my home, and he would come into my bedroom and he'd say, you know, the height that guy threw me down from, because he recognized what was going on. Remember, God giveth and he takes away. That is something that we do not come to terms with. Things are going well and we don't feel that we need to, to respect the fact that there is someone watching. We did not get to where we are by accident. Someone got us out of that womb safely. Okay? And, I have little things from childhood that I remember. I was not a person that went to church like that. I would go when Easter time once a year. But I always acknowledged the fact that someone was watching. And when I did wrong, it didn't feel right. Again, I'm not perfect, but I've always been conscious of doing the right thing. And I see my blessings. I go through a lot, don't get me wrong. But again, when you have those moments, just know, if you're on the right path, that behind it, there's a gift. There's a breakthrough. That's the way it works. So a lot of times, if you have stuff that you're going through, just sit tight, because at the end of it, there's a blessing. That's usually the way it works, unless you've been a bad person. You've got to be conscious. Midlife Rises is not a channel where I'm going to be sitting and like reading you your rights from my psychology background and from my own life experiences. I like to share this stuff because a lot of us are not aware. And we have to be. We've got to stop doing that robotic thing because there's a lot that we are not seeing. There's a lot going on in the back end that we don't understand. You see someone and you're thinking, oh my gosh, but you have to take time to get to know someone, understand how they live their lives, understand what their childhood was like, what their life was like growing up. Ask questions according to Chris Rock. You've got to pay attention. This is a woman's talk show, so I'm going to kind of touch base with us here now. We get into relationships. Like for me, I've always taken time, no matter how long. I have to know, I have to understand before I jump into stuff. And that's just a force of habit. Okay, no matter how long it takes. A few years ago when I first came back to New York, I met someone from Africa. He was Muslim. And this man was so attentive. A lot of times I'm in a relationship, I'm in it. So it's not a problem if someone is blowing up my phone. But this particular individual showed me a different way of being in a relationship. And I loved it because the attention might not have been good attention, but it was there. And I loved it. What I had to do in this relationship is what built me to the person that I am today. I was crazy in love with this man. We were together for close to like 17 years, off and on, because it was a lot of cutting. He knew that he was the only one in my life, but he couldn't understand how he could not have me fully under control. It was with him that I learned how to shut things down. If you can see, if you can really see, because at this stage we have a good idea what's wrong, what's right, we know. And if you can see, take time and you really notice, there is no excuse going into a bad situation. Because when someone shows you who they are, you're not supposed to ignore that. Not to say you can stop interacting with the person and stuff, but there should be a line. There should be a line that's drawn until you see what you need to see. Because once you're fully in it, you can't get out of that, and there are a lot of troubled men out here. And conversely, there are a lot of troubled women. So you have to not only have that consciousness, you've got to have that awareness. And that is where the balance comes in. And when I say balance now, I want to touch base on something. We have the yin and the yang. Apparently, we have both masculine and feminine within all of us. For a man, he should be able to have that sensitive side there. He can cry if he's hurt and so on. When we are broken, when we didn't address the internal battles, that's where we run into that imbalance, where that yin and yang is just not working. You have some that are not feeling, they are just like shells, and it's because the godly principles are not there. It is early in the year. Let it be your New Year's resolution to understand and acknowledge the fact that there is a God, and that God is love. Things that we go through, all these negative emotions that we have, the envy and jealousy. I have covered emotional intelligence. I mean, I've been talking about this stuff. If you don't know the story, then do not envy the glory. Because people go through stuff and they make it through because they did the work. Do not envy anyone for where they are or what they have. You don't know what they went through to get it. Use your time to build. Build on the rock, not the sand. To be in the light, not in the dark, and see what happens. Okay? Thank you so much for sitting with me. We come on every first and third Thursday of the month. Been falling behind a little. It's been the flu and my computer broke. It's been crazy. Once again, Happy New Year and all the best to you and your family. You take care now.